Welcome to your first 30 days on board. You have just joined your first Christian school board, and you're wanting to get ready. And so we're going to talk through how to make sure that you're ready in your first 30 days as you join your board. Now, as we get started, there are three core truths that I think are important to grasp from day one as you get started. And the first is that your role is strategic. It is not operational. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're here to set the vision, right? To ensure that the school maintains its Christ-centered mission, and that you're not sucked into daily tasks like scheduling or staffing. Those belong to the administrator, right? Those are the administrator's responsibility. You've hired as a board one employee to do that, and that is your administrator. Your role is to be strategic. Because if you're not strategic, there is no one left in the organization who can be. The board is the only one positioned to be in that strategic role by definition. So remember that your role is strategic. It's not operational. The second is that faith drives decisions. You are a board member of a private Christian school, and every policy, every vote must reflect those Christian values, right? You start with prayer. You look at James 1:5, where God says he's going to give us wisdom, and you ask for that wisdom, and you lead in that wisdom. This is not just a board. This is your ministry. And so that faith has to drive your decisions. And then 3 is that you are accountable as a team. You function as one team unit. That means that you have great discussion. That means that you have great debate, but you come together and make a decision. You are the school's final authority, right? You share the legal responsibility, the ethical responsibility. You care, you are loyal, and your obedience is to protect the mission and the resources of the school. And really, when the board makes a misstep, it cascades through the rest of the organization. So we want to make sure that you are using the benefit of the team to lead well as a team, because you're accountable as a team. So there are 3 questions as you're getting ready in your first 30 days, 3 questions I think that are very important for you to answer. And if you answer these 3 questions, it's going to set you off really on the right foot. It's going to help you be prepared to do well as you jump into some of your board meetings and your board role. So there's 3 questions to ask in your first 90 days. The first question is, who is my mentor? If you aren't assigned a mentor by your board when you get started, then figure this out for yourself. Figure out who is your mentor. Be paired with somebody who is a veteran, who's been on the team for a while, and they can be your go-to guide as you get started. You can ask them questions that you might not feel comfortable asking in front of the whole board about why things work this way, or what do you not understand about the subcontext of that discussion, or something that happened before your time. But having that mentor allows you to get up to speed quicker and not stumble over things that they can help clear up for you. And a great idea is to sit down with your mentor after a board meeting and just do a little debrief with them. Ask them any questions, ask for feedback, help get perspective as you get into your role. So that's the first question. Who is my mentor? Second question that you actually can ask your mentor, but I'd also suggest that you ask your board chair is, what are our current priorities? What are the biggest challenges that we're facing? Like, what are we currently focused on addressing as a board? And this will help you to bring perspective and give perspective to the problems that you're solving. You may see things come up, but if you don't know what's most important for the board right now, you're going to be spending sideways energy. And so understanding this, what are our current priorities, is going to help you to start off strong. And if your board can't answer that question, if no one on your board can agree on what your current priorities are, that might be something that you as a board need to address in the coming season. But that kind of clarity is going to help you wade through all of the things that come at you as you get started in this role. And then the third question is, where do I find our previous minutes, our bylaws, and our current policies? These are core tool documents that you'll want to review as a board member, at least looking at the last couple of board meeting minutes, understanding the bylaws and how the board operates, how it makes decisions and what it's responsible for. And then what are your current policies? What, if the board is there to govern through policy for the school, what are the policies that are currently in play, and what do you need to understand there? So those are 3 important questions to answer as you get started as a board member. Now, I know you probably want a checklist, and so I've got a checklist for you that's got a couple other things that you should be paying attention to. But let's review. Let's review this checklist and what you can do to get started in your first 30 days. So the first thing is find a mentor. Find somebody that you can ask your questions to that can be in your corner as you get started. Identify your top 3 current priorities as a board. Know what's most important right now. Read the documents, meaning read the minutes, the bylaws, the current policies, any other documents that might be valuable for you to understand. If you have a current strategic plan you're working off of, to read through all of those before your first meeting. Tour the school. If you haven't done that yet, which you probably have, but tour the school through the eyes of a board member. Pay attention to the things that you might not have seen before when you were walking through as maybe a parent or a family member. But now you're a board member, and so you might see it from a different perspective. So take that tour, meet the administrator so that you can introduce yourself and get to know them a little more in the context of what they do, and then get spiritually prepared. Make sure that you spend some time in prayer and in the Word as you get ready for your first board meeting. Now, I know you're excited. You're probably a little bit nervous, so I want to give you a few tips on what not to do as you're getting started in your first 30 days. Number 1, don't try to change everything immediately. This is a really interesting point. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay attention to the things that you feel need to change, because you should. You're coming in with fresh eyes. It's a very valuable thing to the organization to hear from you on what questions that you have, what things are assumed by everybody that you don't quite understand, or maybe have a different perspective on. Journal those things. Make note of those things. It's a very valuable, fresh perspective that you bring, but don't try to change everything immediately. That would be negative for the organization. It may be jolting for the team, and you won't have gained the understanding or respect from the team to be able to push into some of those issues. But do take note of them, because that perspective is valuable and probably does need to be addressed, just not in your first board meeting. The second thing would be, don't bypass the administration with operational issues. You're going to be seen as the new fresh meat, right? Where somebody can maybe have a new angle, or they can come to you because you don't know the history of the situation. And understand, if it's an operational issue, that's an administrator's responsibility, and you don't want to bypass them. You want to redirect them back to the administrator and say, have you talked to the administrator about this? And you can always circle back with the administrator and say, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? They came and talked to me about something. But you're not trying to bypass them by any means. You're trying to support them in their role of operationally running the school. Third one is, don't share confidential information. It's going to be very tempting. People are going to come to you asking for all kinds of stuff that they may not have asked before. Make sure that you maintain the trust of the board if you're having a discussion in that boardroom. And if it's the understanding that that discussion stays in that boardroom, then that's fair. And you want to meet that expectation. But make sure you're not sharing confidential information about staff or students or issues that the school is dealing with. And then fourth, don't come to your first meeting unprepared. You're going to want to have read those documents, looked at the meeting notes, and be ready to contribute right out of the gate. That being understood, remember that you're not alone on this journey. There is a whole team, a whole board team that is going through this together. And while I say come prepared, take time to learn and observe. You want to be prepared to jump in. You want to be prepared as a board member, but take time to learn. Observe how the team works, how the school works, and take notes so that you can continue to add your contribution to the school. Focus on building relationships with school members, parents, community members, other board members. Your relationships are going to be a real value to the team, and keep the mission at the center of everything, right? You are a board member that is here to ensure that the school lives up to its mission, and that has to be at the center. Following Jesus in our education has to be at the center. This is exciting. This is your first 30 days, and you are starting off strong. Here's the best part. It is only the beginning. I've got a whole first 90 days course that you can go through that jumps into governance and finances and leadership, all rooted in faith. And it's your roadmap to thriving and not just surviving in this role. And you can learn more at strongerboard.com. But these first 30 days of yours are going to be awesome. I'm rooting for you and would love to hear how it goes. Reach out to me at strongerboard.com. And here's to leading a stronger school.